everybody, I'm Caroline. I like to read books. Let's talk about them. Today's video is going to be the mid-year book freakout tag because it is August and I'm freaking out because where did the year go? I don't even know. I feel like I'm sufficiently freaked out to do this video, so let's just get straight into it. First question, what is the best book that you've read so far in 2016? There are honestly so many that I could pick for this because I've had a really great reading year so far. I've read a lot of books that made me laugh or cry, and I already feel like my top 10 video at the end of the year is gonna end up being like 25 books long because I have read some great books. But when I think about it and think about the one that made me the most emotional or that stayed with me the longest after I read it, it would be We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. This is a really bizarre story, and whenever I explain the plot to someone, they're kind of like, yep, that sounds weird. But it's about this boy who is abducted by aliens, and they give him the choice between saving Earth or letting it be destroyed. And a lot of people think it would be a really simple answer. Like, of course he would save Earth, but this guy, Henry, his boyfriend just killed himself. His grandmother has dementia and is forgetting more and more every day. His family life isn't great. Things at school aren't great. And he seriously considers it. And it's just the most beautiful story. I cried so much in this book and it stayed with me like weeks after I read it. And I'm always recommending it to people because even though it has this really bizarre synopsis, it just touched me as a story. It was so great. So if you haven't read it, I would recommend this because it is the best book of 2016 so far. Best sequel that you've read so far in 2016. For this one, I'm going to go with The Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas because hot damn, this book was great. I loved it so much, and I wasn't a huge fan of book one in the series, but this one was just great and I loved it so much, and I have lots of things that I could say about it, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone, so I'll just leave the link to my review if you're curious. But basically, what an amazing sequel. I love this book. New release you haven't read yet but you want to. For this one, I went with And I Darken by Kirsten White because this book just sounds so good. I've seen a lot of people raving about it, especially lately, because it's fantasy. It's the first in a series, I'm pretty sure, and it just sounds really entertaining. I only bought this yesterday, but I've already bumped it up my TBR to near the top, so I will probably read this soon, and it will be in my wrap-up video for August. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. This one has to go to Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. It's the second book after Illuminae, and Illuminae was one of my favorites, if not my favorite book of last year, and Gemina comes out in October and I've already pre-ordered it, and I'm so excited because all the people who received advanced readers copies of it are saying that it is amazing, potentially better than the first book, and wow, I am so keen for it. Number 5, biggest disappointment. Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. What a surprise! I was really excited to read this book, and if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that I just didn't like it. I gave it 2 stars. It just felt kind of flat for me. I was disappointed in the characters and the world building and the kind of overwhelming similarities to Game of Thrones, and I'm really not sure I'm going to continue the series, which is a shame because I was so excited for this book. I really wanted to read it, and then when I read it, I was like, oh, okay. Biggest surprise! Honestly, for me, this one would have to be Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling, Jack Thorne, and John Tiffany because I was really impressed with this book. I wasn't planning on reading it initially, and I ended up quite liking it. I will say that it's not the same Harry Potter as it is in the other 7 books. It's still magical and funny and has the same great friendships, and it's clever, but it does come off feeling a little almost fan-fiction-y because it is just that little bit different, but I still enjoyed it and I was really surprised by it. Favorite new author. This isn't a debut author or anything, it's just someone who's new to me because I read one of her books earlier in the year and was just so swept up in the world that she created, and it's Maggie Stiefvater, the author of the Raven Cycle series. I haven't read book 4 yet because they don't sell it in these editions and I want a matching set, but I've loved the 3 books that I have read. They've been so great. They're kind of magical and paranormal and just really entertaining. The characters are so vivid and they're well written, which is so great. So yeah, I have a new author that I just love. Newest fictional crush. This one I'm going with Frank from Since You've Been Gone, who is just the most precious little cinnamon roll cutie pie thing. He's adorable and I really loved him in this story. He was a great person but also really enjoyable to read about, and he was just the cutest. So yeah, I have a little bit of a crush on Frank. Newest favorite character. This one I'm going with Inej from Six of Crows, because what a badass character she was. Oh my god, I loved her. She was amazingly strong both physically and mentally, and I just loved reading her chapters and even just her in the story. She's so cool. I just love her so much. Book that made you cry. Wah! I am trying really hard not to repeat myself in this video, but guys, we are the ants. It made so many tears. Book that made you happy. Again, there are quite a few that I could say for this one, but I'm gonna go with The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, because I just loved the characters in this book. I loved the ways that they interacted and kind of joked around together, and it just made me really happy to read about them and their shenanigans. Most beautiful book you've bought this year. Like seriously, this Harry Potter box set, let's just look at it a bit longer because oh my god, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous! That brings us to the end of this video, everybody. There was one more question in this tag, which was who is your favorite book community member or something, but I honestly can't choose because this whole community is full of such lovely people who share my passion for books, and I just think that's such an amazing thing. So I'm not going to single anyone out. I'm just going to say that I love books and I love talking about them, and I'm glad so many other people do as well. But that's it for this video. I really loved this tag, so consider yourself tagged. But I upload videos Wednesdays and Saturdays, so be sure to like and subscribe and tune in on those days for more bookish goodness. Toodaloo!